Hi, this is Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that spotlights the stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So sit back, relax, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know.
Yeah, the first time I met this talented band was at a local watering hole in Wanata, Indiana. I was absolutely mesmerized by the talent and also the fact it was kind of something you wouldn't expect to hear at a bar on a Saturday night because they play bluegrass. The band is strings beyond description, and from that band is mandolinist Mike Regnier. Mike, is it properly called a mandolinist? Are you a mandolinist?
I reckon so.
All right, very good. All right, very good. First off, the band is, like I said, it's a little unusual to hear that in a bar on a Saturday night, but I really thought it was really, really cool. And it so much so that Leslie and I wound up taking a bunch of photos, and we wound up staying there for like a full set or whatever. Who's in the band, and how did you guys all come to be?
Well, basically, I'll kind of tell you the story of how we came to be. A couple of friends got together in 2016, me and my buddy Wes, and then our buddy Mark and our buddy Troy. And we played acoustic music and bluegrass music and Grateful Dead type stuff in acoustic settings for about a year and a half. We started in, I think, early 2016 was our first gig. And then about a year and a half later, we met Buster, and we got Buster on the old stand-up double bass. And that kind of completed the setup for the last several years. So from about 2016 up until about a couple months ago, that was the lineup.
Right. Okay. And I understand that one member dropped out, and now there's a new member.
So Wes, our band elder, has retired, basically, and we have a kind of a young buck here named Ryan Highland that's playing with us.
Oh, yeah, very good.
He's very multi-talented songwriter and singer and guitarist, and he's learning how to flat pick on his acoustic right now. And he's coming along quite well, and he's fitting in. And we're probably going to write a bunch of new songs, and probably try to go into the recording studio again, which we did with Doug. And again, it was nice to see at Doug's fundraiser, by the way.
Oh yeah, Doug Lenz is just a fabulous guy. We're going to have him on the show here in a couple of weeks here, as soon as he starts getting healthy enough to be on the show.
Yeah, Doug is a great guy. Yeah, we cut about 10 songs with Doug, so we got pretty much a whole CD's worth of songs in the can with Doug from over the last 6 years that we've done.
Wonderful.
So we thought that would kind of be a nice bookend to the last 6 years, and then obviously look forward to what we can do.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree with you there, Mike. And the next question I have to do is there's so many different variations now of bluegrass. There's bluegrass, newgrass, grateful grass, punk grass. I'm sure there's all different types. Can you kind of give us what distinguishes one from another?
Well, basically, the traditional bluegrass is more traditional topics. And in the early 1970s, it was John Hartford and Sam Bush that kind of took it all in a different direction by still using bluegrass instrumentation, but playing songs that were not bluegrass at all. Like the Newgrass Revival, which was Sam Bush's band. They did Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis in bluegrass format, and that was kind of the defining point of taking the traditional bluegrass and putting it in a non-traditional setting. And then there was a bunch of bands that were on the East Coast and the West Coast in the late 60s and the early 70s, and they all just kind of took the music in a different direction. And like you said, there's all these different types of variations of it. Bluegrass is the main branch, and then all the stems that come off of that are all the variations.
I'll never forget there was a band that I had on my original show many, many years ago called Hasty Dixie.
Oh yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
And Hasty Dixon, and they played AC/DC, which was kind of unusual to hear on a mandolin.
Yeah, sure. And they're great.
The first song we're going to feature from Strings Beyond Description is a song called Color is Blue. Mike, can you give us kind of a rundown on how that song came to be and what it's about?
So basically it was written by our banjo player, Troy Creech. And it's about kind of the traditions of bluegrass and where it came from. It's got references to a whole bunch of different times and people, and how bluegrass has influenced many, many people on down the line.
All right, very good. We're going to feature that right now on the Someone You Should Know podcast from Strings Beyond Description.
Out there in them woods, you can hear the banjo playing. breeze, you hear that mandolin. Big bass fiddle gonna drive the bus while the guitar completes his room. These here boys are living on. Their color is blue. Spend them days both day and night until the early morn. Playing old time tunes and then writing some of their own. Their souls are blessed by music and them songs are tried and true. These here boys are living on. Their color is blue. 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 They headed out into the east of them Appalachian town. They got bluegrass in their soul, and that's why the people gathered around. One plug commander with a banjo pitch, and that crowd begins to stew. These here boys are living on. Their color is blue. It's been 10 years or more, now their home is on the road. They gaze upon a crowd of folks with that music stories told. We're gonna spread the wings and fly away, see the whole thing through. These here boys are living on. Their color is blue. 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 just greasing that machine. But Big Mom blew them all away with those mule skin blues. These here boys are living on. color is blue. From them songs and tales, many stories have been told. Flat pig guitars, mando licks, and banjo roll. Fellas like Scruggs, Doc, and Peter, Rowan, and Jerry too. These here boys are living on. Their color is blue. Their color is blue. Their color is blue. Their color is blue. Their color is blue.
Strings beyond description. My guest today on the Someone You Should Know podcast, we're speaking with Mike Regnier, who plays the mandolin. And Mike, playing bluegrass, I got to ask you a question. Who inspires you? Is it Alison, Krauss, Flats, and Scruggs, or maybe someone new like Billy Strings, who's my personal favorite?
I haven't been playing the mandolin all that long.
Oh, really? You play so well. I would have thought you've done this since you were like 3.
No, I appreciate the kind words. No, I've played mandolin since about early 2015. From about age
Get out of
13.
here! You played in 2015. You just picked it up for a year, and oh my gosh, Mike, you're talented, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, from like I said, from age 13 to about 43, I played the guitar for several years.
Okay, I understand that.
And then I was dating a girl at the time back in 2015, and she won tickets to a concert up in Chicago off a radio station. And it was a triple bill bluegrass, and I had never really been to anything like that. She's like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So this was early 2015. We go up there, and it was the middle band happened to be Billy Strings,
oh my
and
Lord, yeah,
and Don Julin, and then the bass player Kevin Gills, basically Billy on the guitar and Don Julin on the mandolin. And the minute that they started playing, it blew me away.
Wow,
and
yeah.
I saw what Don was doing on the mandolin. And he was doing, bluegrass and jazz and stuff like that. And I was kind of doing a little bit of what he was doing on guitar, but I saw him doing on the mandolin, and I thought it was so much cooler. And I said, that's what I want to do.
Right. I saw Billy Strings at Lollapalooza, and was absolutely blown away. So much so that I went out and bought his first 2 CDs right off the bat.
Yep, he's a good one.
Yeah, he's a good one. Well, then again, Strings Beyond Description is not to slouch in any way at all. I got to tell you, when we saw you guys for the very first time, it was at the Silver Horseshoe here in Wanata, and one of the things I thought was kind of unusual is the fact that you've got a 5-piece, including a stand-up bass, on a little tiny it was just like a little portion of the bar they gave you to perform. It was very unfair. You got 5 players right there.
Yeah, we can squeeze it in pretty much wherever we need to.
All right, then I know coming up you're playing at the Art Theater in Hobart.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the last big shows we have this year. Yes, we're opening for the Lazy Lightning Band. They were gracious enough to give us the opportunity to open up for them. We'll be doing that on Friday night, November 18th at the Hobart Art Theater. We'll be doing basically a kind of a tribute to the Old and in the Way, which is the Jerry Garcia early 70s bluegrass band that he was in.
Wonderful. We'll have to check that out myself there. Now, the next feature is something that we love to talk about, and this is one of those things that you can elaborate any way you want to, and since this is a podcast, you can swear as much as you want to. This is called Tales from the Road. It's those infamous road stories of getting to and from a gig, something that happened on stage at a gig, something that happened backstage at a gig, something that happened with your accommodations. What would you say would be the Tales from the Road for Strings Beyond Description?
I unfortunately I don't think there really is one quite yet.
Really?
So that's probably maybe a story. Yeah, we've never really had any big gaffes or anything like that.
No guffaws or anything. Everything has gone true to form.
Well, as I say, other than I guess we do have one story.
All right,
basically, so we're playing a music festival up in Michigan last year. And so we all got there, and one of our guitarist imbibed just a little too much, and didn't think he was going to be able to make it up on the stage. But after a little rest and a little talking to and a little water, he got up there and did what he needed to do.
Awesome.
So that's probably about as bad as it's ever gotten. Most of our stories are feel good stories, like we've had like 11 and 12-year-old girls come up to us and say like we're their favorite band and have us want to sign their T-shirts and stuff like that. So when you get moments like that you're influencing like the young generation with like the bluegrass music that we play and kind of the origins of American music, that's kind of a feel-good thing to me.
Wonderful, especially when you come to think about the style of music that you've got compared to what is available for the kids nowadays. If they get involved in bluegrass, they actually got some decent roots there. Mommy and Daddy did a pretty good job there.
Yep, sure be doing.
Where can we find out more information about the band, merch, tour dates, whatever it might be?
Basically most of our stuff is on Facebook. So hopefully if anybody's on the Facebooker, that's kind of where we're at.
All right. We mentioned the fact that our theater is coming up here in just a couple of weeks here. What other gigs you got coming up in 2022 or 2023 that we need to know about?
Yeah, basically we've got some residencies that we do. So what that is that we play somewhere once a month, and we've been doing that for several years at Finnegan's Bar in Dyer. Okay. So we played the last Thursday, or I should say the fourth Thursday of the month there. So we've been doing that for several years, and then we're actually starting to do the second Thursday of the month, and they're thinking about changing it to Friday night at the Charcuterie, which is like a high-end deli in downtown Griffith.
Wonderful. This is in Indiana, folks. For anyone who's listening in Germany right now, and you're wondering, Dyer,
Northwest.
Is that a suburb of maybe Hamburg? No. Any other material that we might have missed, Mike? Did you like to promote about the band or anything else that we didn't talk about?
It's just kind of nice that we're kind of expanding our radius of where we're playing right now. So speaking of, like you said, of gigs in 2023, so we were playing the Shoreline Brewery in Michigan City back on Wes's birthday in August, and between sets we had a couple come up to us and they said, you guys are really good. How far do you guys travel to play? So I told them, I said, well, we just played 4 hours south in Bean Blossom, Indiana, and we just played 4 hours north, just north of Grand Rapids. So I said probably about 4 hours is our radius now. Mm-hmm. So basically we got a call later, like a week, and then we booked a gig. Our first gig of 2023 is going to be at one of these places. It's about 2.5 hours away, 2 hours away.
Let's hope it's not during the winter time when it's.
No, actually, it's the Derby day, so it's the horse race day. Yeah, so
May time, wonderful.
Exactly. Yep,
There's not much snow down in the St. Louis area during that time frame, at least. Well, very good, Mike. It's been a real treat talking with you. Every time I bump into you, and I remember seeing you at Doug and Karen's Luau last year, or the year before last.
Yeah, that was 2020. That was the year that I had actually met Doug. You want a funny story? All right. So how I met Doug?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm playing with Shane Lindeman, and that's kind of who I got my start playing mandolin with. Okay. So Shane was doing a solo acoustic gig at the Verona Pizza 7 in Valparaiso.
Right.
So he's like, "Hey, I'm doing a solo gig. You want to play mandolin with me?" So I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What the hell? I'll go out there." So we play, and then lo and behold, Doug and his wife actually show up and started watching us. And Shane had known Doug for several years prior. He had done a bunch of recordings with him. So during set break, I had no idea who Doug was. He comes up to Shane, starts talking to Shane, and blah, blah, blah. And he turns to me. He's like, pointing to my mandolin. He's like, "What is that?" And most of the people that ask me that question have no idea what a mandolin is. So I said, "Well, it's a tiny little guitar that they call a mandolin." And Doug goes, "That's a flat iron, isn't it?" And I go, "Ooh!" So basically, and Doug had the exact same mandolin that I had. Wonderful. So we became fast buddies right then and there, and we talked probably for about a half hour during set break about mandolins and bluegrass, and then he asked us actually, like a week or two later, to play his luau party, and that's how all that came to be.
It is hard not to love Doug Lenz, and of course his benefit, which is a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to have Doug on an upcoming show of Someone You Should Know. This is someone that I really and truly want you to tune in for, because not only is he a great musician, but he makes a damn good hot sauce.
Yes, he does. Yes, much love to that man.
All right. Final song we're going to feature is Grass is Greener. What can you tell us about this song, Mike?
That's a song that was written by me and my buddy Wes a couple years ago. It was one of the first songs that I've ever written, and we actually recorded it at Doug's, and we hope it's going to be on our album. And it was a lot of fun to kind of co-write something with somebody, which I've never done before. And this is it.
All right, very good. Mike Regnier has been our guest today on the Someone You Should Know podcast from the band Strings Beyond Description. I want you to check them out on Facebook, and pretty soon they'll probably have a CD out, so I want you to listen for that because they've got some new material coming out, and I think you're going to really love this band. If you love Billy Strings, you're going to love Strings Beyond Description. And Mike, thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for being a part of the podcast. Really appreciate it, man.
Yep, appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate the kind words.
Well, I'm here to tell you, go ahead and take that ride. And please believe me, or you can bet your ass that you'll never know the color of our grass. Y'all might like some sandbush or little Billy Strings, 'cause I drive for hours just to hear those boys sing. And oh, my sweet Mary, you know she makes the trip all the way to Telluride, and then we let it rip. 'Cause you might think the grass is greener on the other side. Well, I'm here to tell you, go ahead and take that ride. And please believe me, or you can bet your ass that you'll never know the color of our grass.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.